I normally don't shill games because for some reason, every time I do that, people assume that the company is paying me. Like when I talked about Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous, people actually thought that Owlcat Games is sponsoring me. It's like, dude, Owlcat Games is a big company. They don't even know I exist. But this time I will shill it because the game is free, so now no one can accuse me of anything. I don't even know if the developers are still around because it's a very old game. But it's an absolutely excellent game. If you like existential horror, you're going to love this game. And it's a point and click game. I don't know how many of you are even familiar with the genre, but as I mentioned, it's very, very old. And these are the types of graphics and UI that you're going to be getting used to if you're considering buying the game. And I'll tell you a little bit about the story. It takes place after a fictional World War III, where the Allies, as well as the Russians and the Chinese, invented supercomputers. And these supercomputers were tasked with operating their nation's defense system. But what happened was that the supercomputers actually fused with one another, creating an even more powerful computer, which eradicated the human race and ended up preserving only 4 members of the human species. And these members of the human species are constantly being tortured by the computer, which calls itself Am. I think, therefore I am. So this computer has godlike powers and is capable of making sure that the humans don't die. For example, while they're roasting them in a cage over a fire, they can feel the pain, but their skin still remains. And the computer tortures these people in various ways, both physical as well as mental. And the game is after a famous story, a very famous novel, which was written in the past, called I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. Because towards the end, one of the protagonists actually manages to find a way to release the others from their suffering, and the computer turns him into a soft jelly-like creature, which is even having its perception of time altered, so it suffers even prolongedly, like it's in a lot of constant pain, and has been so for the last hundreds of years. And the final say is that I have no mouth and I must scream. So it's a really interesting story. Now, the game itself has 2 endings. You can get a bad ending if you play it in a certain way, but if you play it in a proper way, you can actually unlock the good ending. If you do things which the computer expects you to do because he hates humanity, so if you actually do the predictable things, you are going to get this dark halo around your character. But if you actually surprise the computer, if you do good things, you actually get this green halo around your character, which shows that you're doing good things. And I'll give you a small spoiler. For example, this person is being tortured by being transformed into an ape-like creature, and he is constantly hungry. So if you actually manage to find food and you give it to someone else, it shocks the computer because it doesn't understand why you would be acting like this. He thinks that humans are selfish. They would not offer food when they themselves are starving. But again, like it's kind of silly because he can't eat the food. Yeah, well, you're going to play the game and you're going to see what I'm talking about. This person is afraid of yellow. I think it's because she actually got raped when she was younger, and the person that did this to her was dressed in yellow, so she's got like a lot of puzzles that involves her avoiding the color yellow, and the computer keeps torturing her by using this color. So she has to get over her phobia. It's part of her story arc. And then you also have a Nazi scientist. Take into account that this took place during the Cold War. So the Allies actually rescued Nazi scientists, and the computer is disgusted by that because of the rhetoric that the Allies did, but at the same time, the fact that they were rescuing German scientists and giving them new identities. So I think it was called Operation Paperclip. But anyway, right, so you get to play with all these different characters, and you have to figure out what exactly is the problem with any of the characters and find a way around it. And if you do that, you unlock the good ending, which is a very interesting ending. But if you don't, you unlock the bad ending, which, well, it's going to give you the I have no mouth and I must scream thing. What I really like is the existential horror. There's very few games that do existential horror well. So there's no creepy things like boo and you get to have a jump scare. No, it's the whole atmosphere, is the concept that there's this evil entity that has complete control over you, and its entire existence is dedicated to just torturing you in various ways, whether it's actual physical pain or it's a different type of pain, psychological. And it keeps finding new and interesting ways. So you can get this game from GOG. I will not provide you a link. No. Like, look, see, this is something that I don't understand. Like, people keep saying, like, why don't you put the link? Why do you assume... real talk now. Look at me when I'm talking to you. Why do you assume that if you're too lazy to put this into Google, like GOG, I have no mouth and I must scream and type enter... If it's hard for you, why don't you think about me? Why don't you think about me? Why don't you think it's hard for me to also do this? Like, I already have to do so many clicks. I have to edit the video. I have to move it into the upload set. I have to do all of these things. And then after I'm done, you expect me to copy you the link as well? No, get to work. You do it. You copy that link. You get to put that link. Whatever, you know what? If someone puts the link, I'll probably pin it. There you go. That's what I'm willing to do. See? Don't say that I'm not compassionate. Don't compare me to the computer. No, but seriously, I never understand these types of people. It's like, oh, why don't you put the link into the comments? You have the screen. You have the screen. You can just put it into Google. I have no mouth and I must scream. You press space, you say GOG, and you press enter, and it takes you there. Why do you need a link? God. I'm sorry. It's Christmas. That ruined my Christmas spirit, didn't it? Horrible. Anyway, right. So, one word of advice, though. This game, as I mentioned before, is incredibly old. Alright? It's excruciatingly old. So, you may not like the visuals. It's pixelated. It's got old UI. And you may not like the difficulty, because believe it or not, back then, games were actually difficult. So, if you go on YouTube, you will find Let's Plays where they tell you what to do. But, I would advise you against it, right? Because it's really satisfactory when you actually figure out the game for yourself. So, just constantly experiencing and moving around and until you figure things out for yourself is so gratifying. Trust me on this one. If you just spend there, because I remember when I was a kid, I would spend sometimes 1 or 2 days at these points and click adventures just being stuck. And when you finally get unstuck, oh, it feels so good. It feels absolutely great. So let me know what you guys think. Again, I fully recommend this game, and the only reason you may not like it is definitely not because of the story, but because of the graphics. But if you manage to get on top of that, you're going to love this. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.